Okay, so today Legion pretty much sent their whole guild to map 2, which is actually really good that they did, because typically with these matches in map 2, right, we usually just wipe them easily at their mobs, and then we just easily push them back to the choke point and just camp them at the choke, or, spawn camp them. That's not how it goes for this match, and that's actually a good thing. So here, I mean, same thing, like I always tell you, put your AoEs, like you see this circle right here? Always put your AoEs on the edge that's closest to the enemies, because if they're gonna go focus on mobs, they're gonna have to stand inside of your AoE and either take damage, or I actually start with Stormgust, so it's either they move off to the sides or they stay in the circle and just get CC'd. Unfortunately here, so after the match officially started, my skills are still grayed out. So when I was clicking here, right, I was trying to just to place SG, but unfortunately the skills are still locked, so I end up walking forward. And normally this would probably be very bad, right? Because you're pretty far up, you're alone. You're likely gonna get picked off right away. But fortunately I don't. And I'm able to just walk back and then drop my gravity there. It's actually a little bit further up than I wanted, but it's fine. So here you get punched, or I get punched. And so when you die, right, don't just don't stop looking at what's happening on the screen. Like still analyze like how are the enemies positioning? Where are they most likely to, like, where are they heavy at, right? So I can see that they're mostly positioned here on the right and kind of in the middle. So I know as soon as I res your wizard, I'm going to drop an SG right here. Because you can see they're trying to slowly push down from this right side. So to stop them from constantly pushing down, I'm gonna drop an SG right there. And so that's where I drop the SG, and then opposite of what you do in GE, like when they're pushing onto us, I'm not pushing forward. I'm moving backwards while still pushing AoE forward. So here, I move back, and then I see like there's some attackers on this left side that are trying to push up. So I drop a gravity over on that left. And see, I didn't cast an SG right away because the SGU is still going. And then those people are they're going around on the top side to reposition. So I dropped the gravity field instead on this side. Just to have, I only have two of them stacked right here. We lost this right here because we only have two AoEs, you and somebody else, and it's not enough. That's not enough AoEs, unfortunately. And you can see like they're starting to push heavy again on the front, so I'm actually going to cast the SG over here in the middle. So moving back and then drop an SG because they're going to start pushing forward again. They actually have this one wizard over here casting SG. So that's actually canceling some of my casting. So here we're getting pushed back, we're not pushing forward, we're moving back because they're pushing onto us. We're actually called back to mid. And I was trying to get both of our characters there, but I think at this point, like right here, I was like, okay, I'll just leave your character, let your character die, and I'll try to get my wizard there. I mean, my priest, but unfortunately, they also had another group right there that cut us off, and they pretty much wiped everybody that was in that bottom mid section. So here, you see, when I'm moving from point A to point B, I turn the auto skill on because that's where I have your sight. I don't have it on the skill bar, I have it on auto. So I turn on auto, so sight will cast, and then, while moving from one point to another, if we see anybody that's hidden, they'll get revealed. So here we get cut off by their flanking team. It did get called out that they're flanking from this left stairs, but unfortunately all the people in mid they stayed mid. They didn't move back to help. And fortunately for us, Fusion didn't actually make the play to, they wiped us here. They're starting to wipe us here, and they didn't push to our choke point. They decided to push down mid and regroup with the rest of their guild. Here, I'm trying to, because they're going to push on this section of the stairs, this left side, so just trying to get some AoEs there. I'm not sure if I put Quagmire right away. Okay, no, yeah, I have a one Quag right there. Should have put at least maybe two Quags on this side. I mean, yeah, Godfather is on, like you see right there, Godfather is the one that's smacking you. So, I mean, that's what most of your deaths are from Godfather. Like, you can see, like, he does a decent amount of damage on you. Because he is, like, what, one of the big whales on the server, so... Like, if Godfather is smacking you, or just, like, any of the other guilds, like, big whales are smacking you, don't feel too bad. That, like, you know, they're just killing you too fast or too easily. So here, you know, this is where we all wiped because they wiped the defenders that were mid, and then they wiped everybody that was trying to regroup with them. And so we actually get pushed back to our stairs, which is good. Because this doesn't usually happen, right? So here's the same thing you see. I'm going from spawn back to mid, and then I'm actually gonna turn on auto skill, so then it cast sight. And there's actually somebody that does show up on the screen. And you know, I don't really play your character that often, so I know your Napalm Vulcan's on the second bar. It's just I don't know which key it is. Because if I play your character on tablet, I have it on the dual wheel. And it's the center skill. And so the center skill for me is actually R. So unfortunately I wasn't able to recognize that right away. So this guy gets revealed. I do switch my skill bar, and I was going to cast the Napalm Vulcan, but he ends up backsliding before I can actually cast it. So I decided to just ignore it. But you know, later on, when Sin X's get their Grimtooth Core, right, we definitely need to handle that Sin X that got away, because he could camp somewhere on like by our spawn or by the choke point and pick off defenders trying to regroup with the rest of the stack, because he can just stay hidden and cast Grimtooth, right? So we'll definitely need to try to, you know, once that comes, we do need to focus on that. But for right now, like, I'm not worried about that Sin X, so I just regroup with the rest of the guild. So you can see, like, share here. So for future matches, we definitely would need to, like, if we need to do reviews or something, we'd need to use recordings from your point of view, because like you can see, like, I can see a lot of people here on the back. My priest, I'm usually like here in the mid or in the back of our stack, so I can't even, like, I probably see like some of the people on the front line, but I don't see the rest of these people here. Not only that, you see a lot of their AoEs on the ground too. So I can't see those from my videos, so I can't tell you like, okay, there's gaps here, there's gaps there that you can, you know, that you can use to stand on and push like deeper AoEs onto them. So actually, so I was making a lot of mistakes this match because, you know, I'm focusing on two characters. I'm not playing how I usually play. And so, like, one of the things you said, like, I'm usually up on the front line, kind of just... Even my priest is up here. Like, I'm up on the front line, usually just, like, standing in the AoEs, right? There's no reason to stand in the AoEs, especially, like, there's some openings over here that I can stand on. I mean, I already know, like, most of their DPS other than, like, Godfather, they don't really do much, so I'm not even trying to reposition, honestly. That's why you see me a lot of times just standing in the AoEs, rather than trying to use the angles from the sides. And actually, our guild, most of our AoEs as well are just focused on the middle. We don't really have people, like, casting, trying to push these side attackers back. Let's see, like, you're supposed to actually make rosters for map 2. So then, like, you know, the people in mid can focus AoEs mid, people on the top can focus on the left side, and then people on the bottom can focus on the right whenever we're trying to push like this in the middle. So here also, the same thing, one of the things that you pointed out as a mistake is, like, you see a lot of our AoEs like very far back for some reason. Like, I'm on the front line. I mean, I do have Child of Earth, but like, he dies pretty quickly. But even then, without Child of Earth, right? Like, other than Godfather, you know, you're not taking a whole lot of damage and dying fast or anything. That's kind of same problem we have with GE. Like we have a lot of our like when Elysian's holding a choke point, we have a lot of people just like very far back for some reason instead of like being a little like this is when you need to be a little bit aggressive and try to push your AoEs forward. But you can see a lot of our AoEs are still a little further back. And right here, so I switched. So for this whole push, pretty much I switched to a SG, mostly because we didn't have anybody casting SG in the stack. Everybody's just either Meteor Storm or Gravity Field. So I think in the future, especially for cross server, I might switch you to just run the same SG support setup that I had on NA. Because if they're gonna stand on the front line, you know, they're gonna get CC'd. If they're wearing Mark Card, it's fine. You know, they're constantly getting knocked around from the SG. And so if they're, you know, if it's a wizard, you know, if they're trying to cast stuff on the front line, but if they get hit by SG and they're standing in it, it's gonna constantly cancel their casting. That's one of the reasons why I used SG against Fusion, because like Helios is their main DPS in WoW. If I cancel his cast, then he's not stacking as many gravity fields as he probably could normally, right? Unless like, you know, if people are wearing Finn 3-star card, that will prevent them from getting their casting cancelled, or if they're using, I think it's Drac Illusion card, or it might be Drac like the actual MVP card. But you can see like you definitely don't want to stand in the mid. Like I'm doing most of this match, I'm trying to push this, be lazy and push mid, because that's where all the AoEs are at. Like you see, I get stunned a lot by the Meteor Storms. And then sometimes they occasionally will have an SG there, so they'll either freeze you or, you know, if you're trying to cast something, the knockback ends up canceling your cast. So definitely, like I said in that very first video, look for those angles off on the side to stand on and put an AoE onto their stack, rather than just standing in the middle like this. Because that's not, you know, it's not... Like when you have openings on the side, there's no reason for you to keep standing in the middle, right? Because you can see, like, I get my casting cancelled, or I just get CC'd. And sometimes I even die for it too. So here, you know, we already pushed them back to the stairs. We don't even need to push up the stairs because we can just hold them there. So just putting Gravies. I didn't put any Quagmires here, I don't think. But definitely, you know, Quagmires on the side. And then also the guild as a whole for map 2 need to work on their location callouts, because somebody was saying on voice that Elysian is pushing on the right side. But if you look at the map, right, we're here on the right side. They're not even pushing down these stairs. So I figured maybe he had his camera angle rotated how you had, so Elysian was on the top, and then, you know, the bottom stairs is on the right side, so he sees them on the right starting to push through. But instead of saying bottom stairs, he said right stairs, which, you know, if you look at the map, like we're here on the right side, they're definitely not pushing down. So that's why I end up going down to check on the bottom stairs, and then you can see, oh yeah, there are some Elysian here. And so this is, like I said in that GE, I don't know if it was like last week or 2 weeks ago. You can see I'm putting an AoE where I'm expecting them to push down, because I was expecting them to just start rushing down the stairs. So I put an SG right here. But you can see it, like it hits nobody. Similar to your situation, like you casted SG, it didn't hit anybody. The only difference is between how you did it and how I did is after I cast my SG, I don't move forward to try to like get another SG deep onto their stack. I actually move back, kind of analyze the positioning. Okay, it didn't hit anybody. They're still kind of lingering up there. I'm going to drop a gravity field right here instead. See so opposite of what you did, right? If this was you, you would have been pushed up right here to try and cast your whatever AoE onto them. And you can see, like, after I cast this, they're actually gonna push down the stairs, and you actually die pretty quickly. I mean, Godfather is on the side. He is leading this push right here. Like, you see Godfather right here. and he's gonna start attacking you. You're gonna see how fast your HP drops. You see, like if like the way that you do it, right? Like you'd be right here, you drop your AoE, and then you're gonna push up again, or you're gonna linger right there, instead of trying to move back when they start pushing onto us. But you can see, like, you get rezzed, or I get rezzed, I'm moving back. I'm not standing there. I'm not trying to continue to push forward. I'm constantly moving backwards. So, I mean, the same thing you need to do, especially like in those GEs when we're outnumbered. Like, if you're gonna start on the front, like close to the front line, cast your AoE, but, you know, move back. Like, you keep moving forward for some reason. Like, you always, like, you just play aggressive 100% of the time, which is not how. Like I told you, I don't know if it's like the second video or the first video, like you need to kind of analyze the guild's positioning and our numbers and like what they're doing and how they're positioned. Because I was going to tell you if you need to be passive or aggressive with your AoEs. Not just your AoEs, but just your overall positioning. And here, like you said, like I said, as long as you're close to the stack, like the stack's just right here, you don't really need to put a safety wall, because if you get punched, right, I'm just gonna res you. So here you're gonna see I get punched, but then I just res you. I res myself. And the guy that punched you actually body relocated into your gravity field, and you can see that he got slowed from the curse. And so he actually gets stuck right there. Can't even move, and then he just dies. He does get res, but the thing is, like, he's so deep into our stack now that he can't even, after he gets res, he can't even get out of it and regroup with the rest of his guild. And so he just dies again. So as long as you're like pretty close to the stack, not like, so say if you're, so say if, let me see. So say if you were, let me just see if I can get a different one. So let's say if you were pushed up here, right? You'd probably, this is pretty far up, so you'd probably, if you're gonna be this far up, definitely cast safety wall first and then cast your AoE. But I mean, like if you can see you're pretty close to our stack like this, then you really don't have to cast an SW. It's mainly me, the priest, that would be casting safety wall, just to make sure I don't get punched. And then I gotta send you screenshots later talking about the sigils and the new strategy that they're trying to use for map 2 using the sigils. So I'll send that over later. And then, like I said, for future videos, you definitely need to use your point of view, because like you can see over here in mid, right? You have all this vision. Since you're on the front line, you have all this extra vision that I don't have. Like, I don't see any of this stuff up here. Because typically, like I said, I'm going to be in the middle or I'm going to be in the back, because I'm the full support priest. You know, I have no business being up on the front line. So, I mean, we'll just use those videos because it's going to give us better vision on the enemy's positioning, and then, you know, some of their skills or their AoEs on the front line. It's easier to see when you're on the front line versus being on the far back as a priest. I think so. Guild Cross Server is supposed to come out next week, Thursday. I don't know if it'll start right away or if we have to wait the following week to actually have our first cross server match. But if it's the following week, that should be, no, that's the week before you come back from your vacation. So I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see next week if it's actually cross server or if we have to wait another week. But for, you know, for cross server, we definitely gonna have to look at your point of view for videos, because you're gonna see a lot more stuff on the front line than I will. and then we can point out. We'll have, since we'll fight stronger competition too, we can also point out other things that you can try to work on and improve on.